Here we go, episode 127 of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. This is our weekly opportunity to grow, scale, and build our junk removal dreams. As always, as promised, the man of the hour, the quarterly business update with Mr. Andrew Barten, USA, proud American, with a new, is it a piece of paper or is it a step repeat? What's going on with this Barten Media?
Oh, it's a it's a step and repeat, bro. I don't know. I thought it was kind of understood you don't fold these things, but apparently somebody missed the memo. So I spent a few minutes with a heat gun trying to stretch it out, make it look a little nicer than it is, but it's going to do the trick for today.
It did not work.
Rearranging the office, making things look nice,
Okay, so now we got to. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk junk removal at one point. You're like quasi filling him for Casey with the beard and the Hawaiian shirt. So this feels like a very normal, natural setting. What's with Barten Media? What the hell is that all about?
Barten Media is our digital marketing, I should just say marketing arm of Barten Enterprises, Barten Brothers. I started it in 2019 as we started to transition away from hiring outside people to do our marketing. I think we've spoken about it before on the show, but it was kind of a natural extension, man. If you really want to market heavy and spend a lot of money, there's no point to be paying that middleman, in my opinion. I don't know if this is the right answer for everybody, but I think when you get to a certain size and scale, it begins to make sense to bring some of that stuff in-house.
So why brand is Barten Media? Why not just have director of marketing?
Well, because my intention was back then to continue to sell it to other companies. So we focus on service-based businesses here locally. The company I started in 2019. I probably drastically overestimated how much people are willing to pay for marketing. But I'm essentially selling these people here locally with the services that we run our business on and how we're able to be successful. So we have 6 customers. Barten Media has 6 customers. It's not a super awesome business. It also doesn't get a ton of my time, but you know what it does at 6 is it does pay for the staff. We essentially have 7 people on our marketing staff. So I think it's very important to have that, if you're going to pay all those people, you might as well sell it. Eventually I think that we'd also like to maybe outsource the call center.
Really? Outsource your call center to other service-based businesses locally?
Yep.
All right. Well, that's an interesting take. I did that. So I took our marketing company, did a lot of videography, and I changed it to, or not changed it. I built it out. It was Green Up Media, which turned into Antidote Media Group, which was your cure for shitty content. So I've gone down that road before. What I like about your model is you're talking about service-based businesses that are local. So you're essentially repeating what you already are doing that's working. One of the reasons we were unsuccessful with Antidote Media Group was videography only, right? So it's very niche, high end, and a lot of local companies, they can go get the guy that'll do 10 videos for $500, and I'm like, yeah, we'll do one video for $2,500, and they're like, well, they didn't see the value there, and videography is inconsistent while marketing is consistent. The other challenge we had was we weren't selling the ads. We weren't. It was the videography only, so there was no residual or repeat income from even the individual customers. That, and then the third thing was people. There are a lot of local people that want to be on social media, and then you put a camera in front of them and they forget their name. So, not me. I see a camera and I'm like, "Hey, I'm Andy. What are we doing to talk about today?" I love the camera,
and I think it's basically the same sort of thing. So. Where I made my mistakes in the media business, not to let's get back to junk here, but we're asking for $50,000 give or take annually for our service.
Yeah.
And I got so much pushback when I was out selling it initially, and I was like, guys, you can't hire a person to do this for you at that price. Like it sounds like a lot of money, but it's not really a lot of money. And what I just like what you said, I think what's important is the proof is in the pudding. I'm literally selling you what we use. I'm showing you how we do it. I'm willing to guarantee some results. We get a tremendous amount of general contractors and other businesses that call and ask us for a service. And I quite frankly, I don't know how to market that. I'm trying to make my phone ring 100 times a day. You guys need your phone to ring about 100 times a month, or 100 times a year, rather.
Yeah. Well, right. It's different. Yeah. We're in the churn business. I mean, I work with GCs. They're like, what do you mean your average project price is $500? I'm like, yeah, about that. They're like, you got to do like 50 projects a week. I'm like, yeah. That's minimum. Like that keeps me in business minimally, you know. Well, those guys, they got 7 or 8 projects going on at once. They're like, oh, we got so much going, and it's just a different scope and scale. So yeah, that's one of the things about junk removal is we are low price if you think about other home services, right? Like you get a new furnace, it's $5,000, or HVAC, right? You want an electrician to show up to your house, it's $500 for him to pick up the phone, let alone show up and actually do some work and buy some stuff, So we're relatively low cost there versus, but then if you look at us versus your residual types of home businesses, cleaning, lawn, lawn cutting, more maintenance-y stuff, we're extremely high price, right? Cleaning is what, $150, for a decent cleaner. Lawn care, what, $50? I don't even know what people pay to cut their grass, right? But it's not $500 to $1,000, average entry price. And so yeah, we're unique in that way that we are expensive-ish, and we have to churn customers because at the end of the day, we can't afford to have our trucks sitting out in the yard not making us money. So yeah, I would say other home businesses, if they're into that, if you can sell them the parking package. Also, I will say, I'll announce it right here on episode 127, right after doing this for 2.5 years, we've had marketing companies on in the past, and people often are like, and our data reflects it, our marketing episodes historically do the best. And yet I've also heard some major issues with the people we've had on that have sold marketing programs and, SEO and Google AdWords and all that shit. Because when people are not hyper local, they generally fail. And again, that's a very broad statement, very broad stroke. I believe in local marketing, very much so. So like with you, it's like I would love to find a you in my market that could pick up and do my spend. That's also exercising those same processes and hinges his livelihood on it.
Yeah, well, and that's I think you hit the nail on the head. And unfortunately, that critique goes both ways. My guess is half the customers of those people running those marketing companies are not really willing to invest in the long term. They want a quick hit.
Yeah.
They want to get in, get out, and they don't understand the value of it. And quite frankly, you need to have the owner involved and participate. If you're going to do really good SEO, you have to be writing the blogs, and there's nobody better to write the blogs than the boss himself or somebody directly involved with the company. You can farm some of that stuff out for a period of time, but it's if you're not involved with it personally, it's going to show through right off the bat.
So are you blogs for Barten Brothers?
I'm sorry, Andy, I lost you.
Oh, do you write blogs for Barten Brothers?
Yeah, we write blogs once a week, maybe once a month, depending on how fast we get them out. But we were pretty diligent about keeping those things posted and up to date. I think we actually just posted one today, to be honest with you. And
are you writing those, or Raven, or who's writing them?
I'm not writing them. Raven may write one. I write one on occasion. The media team is doing it, but we do review them, and we try to keep them very local. Raven and I do provide a lot of the context, and then we go out and hammer it out. But that whole world's changing so much with the Chat GPT and the AI. There's, it's amazing what you can accomplish with it. Some of it's good, some of it's bad.
I do my Andy Weins live show, and that we lean in on AI to take my 15-20 minute show and rip it down into a shorter read, a blog read, just a high level overview. It's still my voice. It's not like write the whole damn thing, right? It takes my voice and takes out the best part. So there's a way to do it efficiently, certainly. We've never got into blog writing for Camo Crew. Never have. And, like this morning I was on a local TV show talk about our rebrand. So we officially are Camo Crew Responsible Junk Removal, rebranded effective October 1. So today was the announcement. Yep. And now the nice thing about that is that segment will turn into a blog, because I talk about what does it mean to be responsible in our business and what can homeowners do to reduce their environmental impact. So we're having that conversation. So I see the power in blogs and the SEO and the retargeting and all that stuff. Never thought about doing it myself, or I've thought about it. I never have executed on doing it regularly.
Well, in this day and age, you literally you can pick up your phone, use that Chat GPT shortcut on your iPhone. You can talk into it. It'll literally spit it out for you, and it'll format it. I would love to show you guys and talk to you guys about the deep rabbit hole I went down on Chat GPT the other day. I've asked this thing a series of questions. I had to write in code for the website the other night, but I asked it to tell me the top 3 junk removal companies. What do you think they are, Andy?
My Hillbilly Mass says 800 Got Junk, Junk King, Junk Luggers.
Okay. So 1-800 Got Junk, Junk King, and Jedi junk. Andrew Thompson came up as number 3. You believe that? Out of the
I
whole
believe
fucking internet. I
he's
don't know how he pulled it off or what he did. I mean, obviously the man's doing a lot right on the internet side of things. He's kicking
well,
ass
yeah,
over there. But
he's a. I had him on the podcast like 6 months ago. He was talking about his new software, and yeah, he's an IT guy. That's pretty good. And he never got sued for it. He never got sued for Jedi junk removal, which I was like,
sued.
yeah, not yet, yeah.
Time,
Maybe top 3 junk removal companies in the country, yeah, maybe. Well, then he's just working the back end of ChatGPT, man. That's interesting. All right. Well, I got 2 out of 3. I'll take that action. I mean, I know the market.
I gotta tell you, I was honestly surprised about Junk King too.
Junk King, yeah. I mean, mathematics. The challenge, like 800 junk is the behemoth. College Hunks has more sites, I want to say, than Junk King. Now I have to Google this shit. However, you mix in the moving, that's where it's different, right? Yeah. Well, you know what? As I'm typing this in, I'm like, I don't want to type this in. I'm not going to. Because if I type in top junk removal companies or top junk removal franchises, it's going to shit out fucking Thumbtack and Angie's List and Nextdoor. And they're going to start spamming me. Because unless it's a publicly traded company, it's not like the data is actually available. Right. And the FDD, the franchise disclosure documents that come out every year, releases number of sites and things like that. They don't always do revenue reporting. I remember that was one of the issues with JDog when I was part of JDog. They fucking lied about their numbers all the time. Like, we had over 300 locations. It's like, no, you had a bunch of territories that were like pre-sold that never opened. And they're like, oh, we're operating in 27 states. It's like, yeah, not really. Like, you have one county that somebody covers in a state doesn't mean you're operating in that state. So I get twitchy about that. Anecdotally, it's 800 guy junk, college hunks, junk king, junk luggers. Why can't I think of his name? Junk luggers, brand president. Come on, brain. Yeah, Justin Waltz. Why my brain was not brain in there. Good dude, smart dude, and they're doing well. And Junk King and Luggers both in the last 2 years got brought out by PE firms, so they obviously did well enough to have an exit. The original founders and leadership and management staff that worked at the corporate level had an exit and done well for themselves. So good on them. Anyways, now I'm talking about my pay grade. I'm more boots on ground, local business owner, less macro version. So let's talk macro. You're the macro guy. You're the guy that comes on once a quarter to talk about where you see the industry and where you see your business. So let's get some high level Q3. How did it finish? Where do you see the industry going? What are you looking forward to in Q4?
Q3 finished strong for us. I think Q4 can be even a little bit better. I really think we keep harping on this, but I think we're going to harp on it again. You really got to stay out there. You got to stay top of mind. You got to keep yourself in front of your customers. It's still not easy to get the business. They had that 0.5 point rate reduction from the Fed. I saw some data from one of our local real estate trade groups the other day. The purchasing power for a first-time home buyer with $100,000 annual income and 10% down payment went up almost 20% with that 0.5 point reduction there by the Fed. So that's really something to think about. That's going to start to open the market up. Here in the Northeast, the market has been super stagnant. But I do think we're going to start to see it opening just a little bit. We have seen signs of it already. It's nowhere near what it was. But I tell you, that number really astounds me, and it makes you realize how important those rates are to keeping the real estate transactions moving. And if you're serious about junk removal, then you need to be in those real estate transactions. You got to be involved in those. So 1 year ago, that same homeowner with the same income could afford a house for $235,000. Now with a 0.5 point reduction, they can afford a house $283,000.
That's significant. Yeah.
And when that happens, that's going to allow people the opportunity to purchase. And to put that in perspective here in New Jersey, I don't know if you're buying a house in Jersey for less than $300,000 or $350,000. So we still need to see a little rate reduction to really get that market going, but we're moving in the right direction. I do think we're going to see another 0.25 point reduction here before the year ends. So I think that's really important. I continue to push the idea of keeping your people busy, figuring out how to diversify, where to move people around, what are your core competencies. I tell people all the time, we're a marketing company first and foremost, and our core competencies are really labor and equipment, labor and trucks. We added that moving division, and that's been very successful for us. We actually haven't had to advertise it. We've done no paid ads, no paid marketing for that yet, and it's bringing in some extra money. When we decided to really pour some gasoline on it and let it rip, I think it's going to be another great division for us. But in general, I think it's just you're still hunkered down. You're still working really hard to catch that customer. I do think it's going to sound counterintuitive, but I really think people need to start thinking about raising their rates. Everything has become more expensive. Your labor, your fuel, your tipping fees. I'm pretty sure that's across the board from the guys I talk to on a regular basis. I literally just got a rate increase from the landfill here 5 minutes before we came on the show. So we're looking at bumping it up. I do love it. If you guys aren't on it, aren't looking at it, I think it really puts things in mind for you. They have that United States government website, Bureau of Labor and Statistics. They have an inflation calculator. Go plug your stuff in there. Take a look at it. And look at this. This is how much your money is worth in 2022. This is how much your money is worth in 2024. And that'll essentially tell you how much you need to raise your rates. That inflationary number is not changing. And even as inflation subsides, it's important to realize that the price points are not going to come down. Simply your wages and everything else are going to adjust.
Yeah, Taylor, why don't you get that website up there for everybody, and then put it in the chat there too. Yeah, it's not counterintuitive at all. It's math. So last year we did a 7% raise on Jan 1. This year we looked into it. We did not do a raise increase in July 1, and I'm glad we didn't because July ended up being a shit month, and it was like, all right, that I didn't want to push away any business potentially. However, I have all intentions of doing a January 1st raise, price increase. Like right now they're talking like 2.3% inflation over the last 12. However, if you look over the last 36 months, it's a 22% inflation, right? So it's like your spending power is, 78% what it was 2.5 years ago. You know what? Maybe people should talk about that, in the election coming up. Instead of I hate this person or I hate that person. Like, every day you see the memes like, oh, it's $100 in groceries. Like $100 in groceries is nothing these days. And then you think about us, it's like everything for us has gone up. It's like, of course, our prices have to adjust accordingly. Like the power of your dollar doesn't go that far. And so you can thank your local and federal leaders. See, I'm still in the Army Reserve. So I can tell you who to vote for. I can't say negative things about the current.
I think if you're a business owner, I think what's really important to look at is I think you have to understand the economy is a lagging indicator.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not moving fast. And that's you guys, it takes, I've been building my business for 12 or 13 years now. We're not done. We're not even close to where I want to be. What makes you think you can turn a country around that fast? So you got to look at it and figure out what policies have really impacted the economy and what generates some of this. And, quite frankly, I believe a lot of it was the COVID money that got spent and how we decided to spend money during that period. And I'm not calling it right or wrong.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I'm not trying to get a political conversation going here. I'm simply, look at the economy, look at the cause and effect and figure out where you can draw correlations and what's impacting that economy and how do we fix that moving forward. You're going to see a lot of political promises from both parties right now. And I think it's really important just apply some common sense and really think about it,
Yeah, no, I am all about, like we said, it's a lagging indicator, right? There's leading and lagging indicators. If we want to talk about micro and macroeconomics, often what I see in the groups is this microeconomic standpoint. Like, hey, this is what's happening in my very local area. This is how much I charge, and this is how I got screwed last week, right? Versus like, well, macro, let's look at leading indicators, lagging indicators, right? And what's going to happen? Like, so a leading indicator is new home sales, right? When new home sales start to slip, that's a leading indicator, right? And when they start to pick up, it's a leading indicator. Oh, the economy is recovering. It might not hit your sector for 6 to 18 months. It's an indicator. Because so for our industry is when there's less new homes being built, that means the demand for new homes has gone down. Well, then the demand for existing houses are going to go down. The demand for remodeling is going to go down. And those things will now all trickle down. So it's like, well, yeah, new homes don't affect my business necessarily. However, remodeling and people moving in current houses absolutely impact my business. And then on the flip side, when you see those new home sales start to pick up again, you're like, oh, the next 6 to 18 months, whatever the number might be, things are going to pick up again. The key is staying consistent with what works, right? You have to have the baseline of this is what I do from a marketing standpoint, operations standpoint. And as you grow, your baseline gets bigger and bigger, right? And then when you have those auxiliary dollars, do you risk them? Do you put them on the table? Or do you, hold those and button down the hatch? Those are the decisions to be made when you're planning out. Like I said, last week I did quarterly planning. on Thursday, a full day quarterly session. We're talking about how do we finish the year and what do we need to do this quarter to set ourselves up for success next year. We're not talking about, what do I got to do this week to make the phone ring? Like what you did 90 days ago is what made the phone ring. So now, right, it's already the last quarter of the year. Like I'm thinking 90 days out. My head, like right now, I know 90 days from today, I'm going to be at our annual 2-day retreat, or January 7th and 8th, planning for and executing on what we need to get done next year. So my brain is, what do I need to do between now and then? What needs to get done between now and then to set ourselves up for success January 7th so that we're successful in 2025? That's where I'll challenge our listeners right now. It's October. It's already Q4. It's time to grind. It's time to figure out what the hell happened this year and what are you going to do about it to go into next, to set yourself up to finish this year to get ready for next year.
Yeah, and I think the conversation about new home sales, I think, is really interesting too, and it ties in with the state of the real estate market in general. And this is Justin Waltz's thinking, not mine, but I think it's really important just to put it out there so people can think about it. Right? If homes are not selling, if new home sales are down, there's a very good opportunity that more and more people, instead of moving or looking to buy a new house, are going to be remodeling. So those should be targets, for marketing. How do we target those companies? How do we reach them? And what do you have to offer them? And I think there's a lot of opportunity and stuff like that. But these are the thought processes as a small business owner I really think you need to be having constantly. You should be turning these ideas over in your mind. You should be turning them on their ear. You should be trying to figure out where the opportunity is, because there's always opportunity. It's just a matter of figuring out where it's located and what it looks like. So Andy, in the quarterly planning, what's up for next year? Anything new and exciting?
One thing we are looking into this quarter, going into next year, a couple of things. Zoom info, that's one thing we're looking into. Are you familiar with Zoom info?
I've looked at the site many times. Tell me more about it.
I know nothing. I know we're looking into it. I know this quarter we're doing the research for a potential January 1 launch of Zoom info. Essentially, it's a $2,000 to $3,000 monthly investment to get best way I can put it, leads lists of people that are actively looking for the service you have. So it's an opportunity to go after commercial work. So we're looking into that. The other thing we're looking into is a subscription-based service for some of our apartments and condo associations. So we can begin on a regular cadence with them, which will allow us to impact the cash flows at the beginning of the month and then offer special pricing for them. So those are the two things from a marketing standpoint. The other thing that we need to do as a company is lean in more on me. Our integrator in our business, he joined us in June, so he's been here about 120 days. He's like, we need to get someone to follow you around with a camera all day and talk about recycling and talk about your passion for this industry. Like that's what makes great content. And we had that in the past. Years ago, we had that. So bringing that back. So those are three things, like from a marketing standpoint. Our biggest challenge in our business is recruiting and retention, recruiting the right people and having the right people stay. And it's really a recruiting issue. We're retaining guys. We, for the most part, keep the guys we want to keep. We've been struggling all years with recruiting, not doing a great job of recruiting. So our fix is training, make the best out of the guys we got, and then also offer such great training that other individuals will see how professional our guys are and then want to be part of this team. So, I look at you, Taylor over there, up and way down in Atlanta. Some of these other guys that have fantastic retention numbers, and we're not there. We need to get there.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Taylor takes a very innovative approach to it. I enjoy talking to him. He actually had a great conversation with him a while back about the difference between how a GC makes money, how we make money, and how much more effort goes into what we do. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a very insightful conversation. But I'll tell you, I'm working on retention all the time, same as you. And for me, it's just trying to scale. I want to get to a point where I can offer better benefits. And that's.
Yeah, do you guys offer health insurance?
We do not offer health insurance. We offer a lot of paid time off. The health insurance thing still eludes us. It's just I can't figure out how people do it cost effectively.
So that's one thing.
That's my big goal for 2025.
So that's one thing we're wrapping up this. We are making a decision this quarter what health insurance we're going to offer our guys. We fix that. Maybe that helps us and allows us to recruit better. I mean, we want to get more professional guys. We got to offer more professional benefits. Like I also went to a seminar earlier this year that was like, oh yeah, people under 30 don't give a shit about health insurance because if they're up until 26, they're probably on mom and dad's, and up until 30, they're not thinking about it. So it's like, well, shit, those are the guys I want to hire, 18 to 30-year-olds, So it's like, does it make a difference? And even with our guys currently, like this is like our 4th or 5th time offering health insurance. All the other times we've offered it, we didn't have enough people that were interested in it for us to even roll the program out or even get to the point of how cost effective we didn't get to that point. So at least we're at the point now where we got 6 or 8 guys this last year to fill it out to give us an idea of what it may cost us. So we're going to make a decision this quarter as to what direction we go.
We've had the exact same experience, and so our family buys our insurance for our family on the open market, and most of my guys that need insurance do it the same way. And I'll tell you, it's really not a bad option. It works out well. We've considered offering stipends and stuff like this for it. The problem is, you hand out a stipend, it's not used for that, then it's useless because it's important to me as an employer. I want my people staying healthy. I'm not throwing the extra couple $100 a month so you can go blow it on cigarettes because that's working exactly the opposite direction of what I want to do. So I want you to have health insurance. I want you to be able to go get your checkups, get your physicals, take care of illnesses and injuries when you need to. So, I mean, we're really, my thought process and discussing with Raven is I'm looking for the opportunity to just buy it outright and provide it to people, and maybe I offer a baseline plan and then those that want to can jump in. But I want my guys to be insured. That's my mission. And if I can find the best way to accomplish that. And, to listeners out there, I know we always get some comments. People are putting information out there. Anybody has any good ideas, we'd love to hear them too.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a guy I talked to this last week. He pays $60 an employee a month for a local doctor. It's a cash doctor. He's like, yeah, it's $60 a month. So it's $700 a year for him to do it. And it's enough for guys to go in, get checked up, and have them write them a prescription. Right. I mean, that's it. And because again, most of his guys are under 30. It's like, they're not, you only need to be seen 10, 15 minutes. Like, oh, yep, you got a thing. Go ahead. Hell, I smashed up my finger a while back. I went to the doctor today for my checkup. I was there for 10 minutes. He's like, yep, another 6 weeks of PT. All right, sounds good. Like, that's it. Like, the seat wasn't even warm by the time he got up. He's like, all right, this is what we're doing. Sounds good. I'm like, man, that guy, that's how you fucking churn. Right? There's some doctors that sit there and they're like, this guy had me out the door. I put aside an hour and I was there for 5 minutes. I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to go do some more PT. Like, so yeah. And again, he could have also been like, hey, here's a script, like right now I'm feeling a little under the weather. Right? I'd love to be able to walk into a doctor on primary and be like, hey, I'm just feeling a little under the weather. Give me a Z-Pack, write a script. I'll be at Walgreens in 10 minutes. Like, yep, that'd be dope.
Telehealth, buddy. Telehealth all day.
Really, that's that. You just call them and they're like, yeah, oh, you got that? Cool. Here's your script. And you just go to the doc or go to
the. For me personally, my primary care is the VA, and the telehealth is not a bad option for them. So
really, but what do you tell them? You tell them what you want, and you tell them your symptoms, and they figure it out, or what?
I think it depends on who you are as a person. I'm very confident. I can diagnose myself and know the severity of it. So I do personally usually tend to tell them what I want. Depending on the doctor, sometimes they're more agreeable than others. But like you said, common sense. I don't feel good. The Z-Packs worked for me in the past. Unless there's a reason I can't use it, send it over. Let me get started here.
Maybe I'll do that today.
And
I wait till I'm like half dead before I go to the doctor. They're always like, why don't you call earlier? I'm like, I don't know. I figured I could just tough it out. It's like, yeah, that was stupid.
Well, that's exactly what I do. They're seeing me once every couple of years, so I don't think they're too concerned about a drug problem. I'm asking for antibiotics. No. I'm not asking for opioids.
Yeah, no, and I'm pretty diligent. And that's the thing. I'm still in the Army Reserve. That's the other issue. I've had health insurance this whole fucking time. I barely use it. Right. However, I in 20 years, basically as an adult, I joined the UPS union when I was 18. Like a week after I graduated high school. So I've always had health insurance of some sort. I've never had to think about it. So I do not can empathize or sympathize, whatever the right word is here, with people that don't have health insurance because I've never been there. And it's not like a knock. It's not, it's just, I joined the military. I've been in the Army 20 years. And I go to the VA and even if I didn't have TRICARE, I go to the VA and get myself fixed. And my daughter's always had TRICARE or her mom provides insurance. So it's like, I've worked for big companies that allowed it. And when I did work for small companies, I had the Army. So it's like, I've always had a solution and, never had a major issue.
Well, I think that the important part of that is personal responsibility, figure out how to cover your own ass, the army is within reach for probably 90% of the population, I would guess.
Yeah.
It's something you can do if you want to. The National Guard, these places really do offer a lot of benefits. I agree.
Well, then it's also personal responsibility. Like, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I take care of myself. I work a physical job. Like, when I get sick, I'm down and out for 2 days, not 2 weeks. Like, it's again, now we're going. Man, we went political. Now we're getting social issues. Let's go back to junk removal. That seems to be the thing. All right. What about you? What do you have on the docket for the rest of this year and going into next year? What are you looking into?
I mean, for us, from the inside the office perspective, I just want to continue to learn and understand SEO and the new SEO integrating with the AI stuff. I spent a lot of time on that Chat GPT, asking questions, trying to better understand it. I was trying to figure out how you get involved with that. And so I don't know if it looked it up or not, but I asked ChatGPT about me and it didn't know who I was. So then I gave it my bio. And then when I asked it again for a local junk removal company near me, it recommended my company and me and basically listed the bio I gave it. So I don't know exactly how that stuff works, but the AI world is really, I think it's going to be important to pay attention to. And so from a marketing standpoint and making sure our relevance on the web stays up to date and as powerful as it can be, that's where I'm kind of putting my time and focus at the moment. I do think it's important to jump back to that comment I made about counterintuitiveness and price increases. If you're fighting for your business, it doesn't mean your price is right. It just means the market right now is not awesome, and it's to be expected. But I think the important thing, again, and we've probably said before, is junk removal is a commodity. Nobody knows what it costs. You have to explain to people what it costs, show them how you do it. We do that through a price book. But there's a lot of different ways you can go about selling it to people. But I also think you got to look at your close percentage. I think you raise your rates until, my opinion, if you can close 70% of your sales, your rates are right. If you're closing only 60% of your sales, your rates might be too high. And if you're closing 80% of your sales, your rates are too low.
That's it. That's interesting. So our historical average is 64%, and we were at 66% all year. And when I talk to 505, they say their numbers are different. They say anything north of 60 is you're at the right price. So they're at, they're more like 50, 60, 70, 50 or too much, 60, 70. They say you can actually raise your rates 70 or above. So, but in that same ballpark, and it comes down to tracking your data. Like, what percentage are you actually closing?
Yeah, tracking your data. And I think it's also important to understand where you're positioned in the marketplace. We tend to be an industry leader in our market, and therefore people call us and they're willing to spend money with us because they're confident. So our close rate does tend to be a little bit higher. Even with higher rates, but
where are you? Where are you price wise in your market?
Historically, we're at the top, and if we're not at the top, we will be at the top again soon.
Same here.
I got and dude, it's the service you offer. We have an excellent staff of people. We have really nice trucks, and what I think is really important is we are extremely reliable and dependable. I don't know if we've ever missed an appointment in 13 years. Knock on wood.
No. Oh, that came up like a month ago. Someone's like, we're not going to get to these appointments. I go, that's not a thing we can. No, that's not a thing. What do you mean we're not going to get to these? Like, no. Like, sometimes you have a 2-day job that takes 3, or hey, we might be able to get it done in 1, but it's going to take 2. But not we didn't show up the day of service. We might be late. We might have to send extra trucks. It may be a shit show. I can't ever remember. Yeah. Oh, when I read about that, like, actually, Russ Berry had a fucking post this weekend. Showed up to a 15-trailer job because the national company never showed up. It ended up being 20 trailers. He's like, they didn't show up on a Saturday. He's like, we banged out 5 trailers. Also, he's got an old-ass crew. His crew is all 46 plus. There I go. Shout out Russ Berry. I follow his ass on Facebook. Got to have him back on the show.
Well, and Russ is just a great example, though, man. That's that type of attitude you got to have. It's can do. Zero fucks given. We're going to make it happen, and I think that's so important. And that's where your opportunity is as a small business versus a franchise location. I think, and I mean, no knock to franchisees. There's a lot of franchisees out there working their ass off, building good businesses. But that's a downside for the consumer. You're calling somebody who really has skin in the game, or somebody who doesn't. If you got a franchisee with a kind of a crappy location or a lack of discipline or a combination thereof, and they don't care, the customer's not going to have a good experience, right? And with somebody that owns their own business and they're responsible for those bills, through and through, top to bottom, your odds are much better.
Yeah, I looked it up real quick because I knew the number was over 1,400. So as of last week, we hit up 1,400 reviews. We're at 1405, perfect 5-star rating, and our goal is 1,500 reviews by the end of the year. So 95 reviews is not crazy. It's like, let's get to it. Let's make it happen. Because to your point about, and I ran the numbers last week, we're at 1,390, and I looked, it was like, or I just did the math. 98% of our reviews are 5-star, 2% are 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've read up until about 1,300 reviews, 1,250 or so. I read every single review. I've stopped doing that because I realize it's busy work. It's not actually helping me. And I got, after 1,200 reviews, I got a pretty good idea where we're at. And my guys read them every time the emails come in. Our operations team's reading them, so they're addressing them. We got a 1-star review from some rando last week, and it was like, "Oh, don't work for this company. They're terrible." Blah blah blah. And it's like, no idea who this person is. So we thankfully got that one removed because that's what prompted me. Because that 1-star review knocked us down to a 4.9. Because that's how much a 1-star review. When you're at 5 stars.
Oh yeah, it's an outlier.
It's outlier.
Yep.
Because I'm proud. This morning I was on the local TV channel here talking about our rebrand, and I want to go there confident. Like, yep, we deliver 5-star service, not 4.9-star service, 5-star. And that is the expectation. So it's interesting to say we never missed an appointment. It's like, that's the permission to play. That's the bare minimum. What are we even doing? And yet, like Russ Berry talked about this weekend, hey man, the big guys didn't show up. And we've had jobs where realtors were like, oh, we went with cheap Chuck in a truck, and he bailed on us. It's like, okay, right, your problem just became our problem, kind of. And we'll knock it out, So yes, there are people that don't take care of it.
Yeah. Cheap Chuck in a truck demonstrates how much he cares about his business. He's about as invested as any other Joe Blow is.
And I remember when I was trucking a truck, right? It wasn't that even if I was invested, I didn't have the capacity. If I had a 1-trailer job turned into a 2-trailer, and I had another job afterwards, there was no, like, I remember this is years ago. We took on a job, a whole house clean out. I don't remember what we used to charge back then. And I was at drill that weekend, so I had Army. So it was like a Saturday, Sunday job. The job got bigger. Something happened. I don't remember. All I know is my best friend Eric and my brother did the job. They unloaded the entire trailer onto tarps in my backyard and did more. And it was like, I got back on Sunday night after a drill weekend. I go, what the fuck? And of course it rained. So now we have to re-pick up I was so irritated. And it was like, not that we didn't care. We just know what we were doing. It's like, oh, it's Saturday. The landfill's closed and we have a full trailer of shit and they have more stuff. It's like, oh, fuck. Right. So it's like, I wouldn't even say that truck and a truck doesn't care. Truck and a truck doesn't have the resources.
Yeah. It might be any combination thereof,
Yeah. A core combination. Exactly. So for the truck and the trucks of the world, right. It's like, well, yeah, you're not scaling. I mean, look at you. You said I'm 12 years into it and I'm still growing. We sat here today and I was telling, earlier today, I was talking to Crum. He's our integrator. And I go, we're growing. We grew 40% this year over year, 40% this year. And our goal was 38.5%. We grew 40 so far. So we're ahead of goal on revenue. And I go, our goal next year is 25% growth. And I go, what stops us from growing 50% next year? Like legitimately. And of course he goes staffing. I go, that's a good, okay. We got to solve that problem, right? So it's like, why not keep scaling? The challenge is the people that get to, a point and then they don't want to grow anymore. It's not always a sweet spot. Sometimes you can find a sweet spot. In junk removal, you can get to like, I don't know, the number's probably like 1.2, 1.5 with a very small leadership team and a small overhead, right? 5 trucks, 4 or 5 trucks and nice and tight. You could probably make good money, 250, 300 take home.
I've had, I've hit 2 sweet spots in my so far.
1.5 was a sweet spot for us. I remember that.
And I'll tell you what, I go to bed some nights and I dream about going back there.
What was the number? Well, I can tell you our sweetest spot was our first 12 months in business. We were running out of the backyard. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. And workers' comp was this thing that we never heard of. Yeah, that was a sweet spot. Unsustainable. So what was the number? What was the top line revenue number that was a sweet spot?
Most recently it was the 1.8 to the 2. That was a pretty nice spot to be in. I don't know if that's typical for a lot of people. I think it is. But the problem is, dude, growth sucks cash. And
I know. 1.5 was
miserable. I hate it.
1.5 was a sweet spot. Getting from 1.5 to 2, that sucked. Like from it sucked as in it sucked cash. If I look at, so at 1.5, we had 28.5% profitability. We had 28.5% EBITDA because we were tight. We had 5 trucks. I remember that year we went back and ran the math. We ran 3.98 trucks on average a day. So I think we had 6 or 7 total vehicles, but we could run like 5 consistently in the summer. That's kind of 5, 6 would be like a truck running along with another truck. That 1.5 though, we were right where we needed to be. And that was also 19 when we ran that. That 1.
And what's your definition of sweet spot, Andy? I think that's important to qualify.
EBITDA north of 25. If you can run your business EBITDA north of 25, that's it. Like I only answer that question right now because that's the gun to head. Yes, that is the.
And I think that's a very fair answer. I think we're essentially in the same spot. But what I would tell you for me is it's getting my personal freedom back.
Oh yeah. Now I love where we're at. Right, like we made more money in 19 bottom line than we'll make this year, more than likely, and yet I've gone on vacations. I don't stress about the business. I don't work weekends. I do this fucking podcast. Like, I've read 6 books in the last 6 weeks. Right? Yeah. So for me, 10X is easier than 2X. It's a book I read about a month ago, and it talks about the 4 freedoms. It's the freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of relationships, freedom of purpose. I'll take that action over. Right? If you said, hey, Andy, you can make 20% or 25%, but in order to make 25%, you can't do anything else. That's it. You can make 25%. Like, cool. Also, I watched a video from Jordan Peterson yesterday, 2 days ago, this weekend. And Jordan Peterson said that for people, now this video is dated, you can tell, probably 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago. He said that statistically speaking, money-wise, after you make $60,000 a year, there's fucking Russ Berry. Shout out Russ Berry. He's in the chat. Russ Berry, 20 trailers taken from the big boys with a bunch of geriatrics north of the age 46. Shout out Russ Berry. He is my hero. This is first ever episode 127. My hero of the week is Russ Berry, knocking the workout on the weekend and talking shit on Facebook because that's my guy. Whenever I'm like, I'm taking the weekends off, Russ is like, let me tell you what I fucking took from my other customers. Anyways, 3 old fuckers in a U-Haul in a junk truck. There we go. I call that running in tandem with experience. He calls it 3 old fuckers in a U-Haul. Now I lost track. I was making a point before I got.
We're talking about Jordan Peterson, 10-year-old video.
Jordan Peterson. Thank you. See? There we go. That's why Andy Barten's an implementer, or integrator. I'm the visionary here. All right. So what Peterson said, not his argument, but the data shows that your happiness increases every like $4,000 to $5,000 you make until you get to $60,000. And after 60, it does not increase. Like nothing significant until there's like the $500,000 of your fuck you money, right? Like, so let's just say that's 100, right? Let's just say from inflation's sakes, right? Build back better, no big deal, right? Let's say the number's 100, right? So if I can make $500,000 a year and I clear 100, right? I'm feeling good about myself. Life is good. Now, would I rather, going to make it 20%, right, EBITDA, would I rather go 25% EBITDA and make 125, right? Will that make my life that much better? It's like, okay, would I rather have $25,000 or freedom of movement? Oh, I'll take freedom of movement, right? $2,000 a month does not change the way I live my life enough to take away my weekends, to take away my time with my daughter, to take away my time at the beach. My time. For me, like you talk about the 4 freedoms, freedom of time, money, purpose, and relationships, my time. That's it. My 168 hours a week, 1,440 minutes a day. I choose how I use them. That to me is where it's at. 20% is sustainable junk removal. I say if you're under 10, you're dying. 10 to 20, you're growing, and north of 20, you're fucking rock and roll. And I've done 20.
I'll put this in there. I agree with you 110%. I think everything you said is right. But I can't help myself. I don't know what I'm going to do.
You want to grow? Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I've given my weekends like 14 times in my life so far, and I just keep doing it because I get this one motivated Friday where I'm like, fuck it, dude. Like we can do this. We can do more. Like let's keep pushing. And then what happens is, the business owns you, you don't own it. But I think that's literally the definition of entrepreneurship. That's the difference between a business owner and entrepreneur. I don't know where my ceiling is, but it's a ways up there. I don't think I can see it yet.
So that's the thing. That's well, and see, that's the difference between you and me. And I love this healthy difference. I remember one of our last episodes, you were like, yeah, it's fucking Saturday, 4:00. You call, I'm picking up. Me, I'm not picking up. And I don't expect my team to pick up because my operation is we run Monday through Friday. Actually, so I stopped the shop yesterday. So if I do work on the weekends, it's because I choose to. So I stopped the shop yesterday to drop something off. And as I'm leaving, I saw College Hunks. They were unloading tables and stuff from a race. This place right across the street from me, they do races like marathons and shit, right? And so years ago, we did a couple like races with them where we'd bring the table, or we'd bring our trucks, we set up tables, they do the race, we pack it all up, we take the trash, whatever. We hated it. We sucked at it. Our guys weren't good at it. We didn't like it. No part of it, right? So then they did them themselves for a year or two, and then we would get the cleanup afterwards. We would do the cleanup. Well, this year we lost it all. I think earlier in the year we did a cleanup or two for them, and we haven't touched it. I have not thought about them at all. So as I'm leaving, I see the College Hunks guy. Then I met him at networking events, nice enough guy, right? And he's helping them, and it's his truck. And I go, all right, it's Saturday. I'm sitting here in flip-flops. All my guys are off. I'm going to go, watch the Packer game. If he wants that business, he can have it, right? Like, that's not my business. Where an older mindset of me would have been like, fuck that guy. That's my fucking customer. I got to do whatever it takes to win that fucking job. It's like, no. Even in our fundamentals, I have about 50 fundamentals we run our business by. We don't roll on Shabbos, right? Sundays, we don't fuck around. That's it, right? That's the fundamentals. We don't roll on Shabbos. And it's like, okay, you know what? If Jesus is chicken, if Chick-fil-A can get by without rolling on Sunday, why can't I, right? And that's my principle.
You're going to 100% do it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it either.
Yeah. No, and it's a personal choice. But you're right. There's a difference between do you own your business or does your business own you? There's this woman I've been doing consulting work with. She owns a cleaning and organizing and decorating company. And when I first met her, I'm like, you don't work that much. Like, I'm looking at your hours. Like, you're busy, but you don't really work that much. Let's get you efficient. So then we dialed her up and got her efficient. Well, now that she's efficient, she can take on more customers. So instead of averaging like 1.5 customers a day, she's now averaging 2.5 customers a day, and sometimes up to 5 customers a day. But she went from averaging probably about 4 to 5 billable hours a day closer to 8 or 9 billable hours a day. So then she got overworked, or we found a new ceiling. We had to break through a new ceiling, not overworked, but broke through a new ceiling. And then all of a sudden on Saturday she was off because she was working 6 days. I'm like, no. Don't work 6 days. Have 6 days of availability. And as soon as you book up your Saturday, you don't work one of the other days that you don't have booked up yet because it's project-based. I was like, work 5 days. We don't know which 5 days yet. We know 3 days a week you're booked up with residual, and you have 3 days you can book with other shit. So like 2 weeks in a row, she worked 6 days a week. And then last week, she worked 5 days. She goes, well, I may or may not book on Saturday. I go, no, do not book on Saturday. You got your 5 days. Don't book on Saturday. And then she told me I was so productive on Saturday because I finally realized the importance of time. Because I was so used to having all this time during the week to fuck around. I was like, oh, I'll just do whatever. And now all of a sudden, it's like she put a constraint on her business, first off by getting efficient. And then she said, I'm only going to work 5 days a week. She earned it. Now she was super productive on that 6th reset, practice, whatever you want to call it, day, because she was intentional about the days she worked. And now she's like, fuck, I can work 5 days, 10 hours a day every week because I've conditioned myself to do so and be more productive on my days off. So it's a mindset shift depending on how people operate and what's important to them. That's ultimately what comes down to.
I agree. 100%.
I don't remember what the question was. Where's my dissertation? Oh yeah, it was about you grind. Now I love growth, right? The key for me is sustainable growth. It is, what makes sense, not growth for growth's sake. Because I did growth for growth's sake in the past. I mean, I had 10 franchises across the country in an 18-month period. Like that was growth for growth's sake, and that was unsustainable, and hence why it failed. Like I saw the writing on the wall after 9 months. I was like, oh, this is disastrous. Like this is going nowhere.
Yeah, well, and I think that's an important distinction. I'll tell you, I don't think I'm at growth for growth's sake.
No,
I do really enjoy what I'm doing. I have my days where I have these fleeting moments that I decided I'm out of my mind and I I can't do anything about it now, so I have to just deal with it. But at the end, dude, I want to build a company where I have people that can spend a career there if they choose to. Real jobs, real benefits. You start out at a truck, you can move into the office. You can start making real decisions, informed decisions, using your brain, educating yourself, and just being smart. I think we all know it, right? That you can sit there and kind of be as purposeful as you want to, or you can be as dumb as you want to. If you just want to sit there and throw junk on the truck all day, you do that. And that's never been who I was. Even when I was employed by people, I was always like, okay, how can I do this better? How can I make it better? What am I really trying to accomplish here? And if I really want to impress my boss, how would I do it? And those are the guys I want to maintain. I want to keep them on board. And you're not going to be able to do that unless you have positions for them. And right now, we're just flat out not that big. We're not big enough to do that. I'm here in the Northeast, we have that Wegmans grocery store. What I love about Wegmans is their service is amazing. Their prices are not cheap, so I like that too as a capitalist. But they're family owned, they're privately owned and operated, and there's a tremendous amount there of opportunity. Universities are studying them, and that's always my model in the world of franchisees. I want to be Wegmans.
Yeah. What is your employee headcount at right now?
I was trying to figure that out the other day. I think we've been talking long enough to know that I don't spend a lot of time worried about that type of shit. But I think we're sitting somewhere between 18 and 20. I can tell you all their names. But
between both locations, you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, I know. I'm a data guy. I know when you said, hey, I went down this rabbit hole of ChatGPT, I'm like, I could fucking care less. Actually, I pulled up ChatGPT in another window. I was going to ChatGPT as a demo my name to see what it knows about me. So I might, here, shits and giggles. Let's do that. We're going to have some fun. Let's see how we can do this. All right, here we go. Actually, I'm going to put, where are we at the stage? There we go. All right, ChatGPT. Okay, so what'd you ask it? What can you tell me about?
I said, one of the questions I asked it was who offers the best junk removal service near me?
No, I was going to say about when you said about yourself. They knew nothing about you.
I asked it. I said, what can you tell me about Andrew Barten? And hopefully it'll ask you to tell it about you.
Yeah, let's just see. I'm gonna find out how good my marketing team is or what it knows about for shits and giggles. What can you tell about Andy Weins? Nothing. Guy sucks. All right. There you go. There, yeah, nothing.
Yeah, so give it the context. So this is exactly the same prompt I followed.
Let's see if it knows anything about my book. There we go. I'm trying to think of. There it is. See. All right. So I have to teach it what this all means now.
I think you do. Yes, sir.
All right. I don't know if
I'm not sure how it employs it after that. I was trying to figure that out. If you get bored, ask me what it knows about me and tell me what comes back with. We'll see if it's working or not.
There you go. Okay. I still had that window open of things I wanted to test. Not that I need people to chat GPT me. They can find me in real life here on the Trash Talk Business Podcast. Also, before I forget, later this month, we are moving the Trash Talk Business Podcast to Tuesdays, starting the 29th of October. So 3 weeks from today, we will not be here. 3 weeks from today, we will be tomorrow. So moving it to Tuesdays works out better in my schedule. Mondays are Mondays are meaningful Mondays. That's what we call them. So I do a lot of meaningful things like meetings. And what I realize is I have 3.5 to 4 hours of meetings, and then I go and do 2 podcasts. Like I am not as mentally sharp as I can be. So yeah, that's it. I'm moving. That's it. That is the catalyst behind it. And when Casey and I were both doing the show, Mondays was a day that worked out for both of us. And now things have changed and evolved. And it's like anything else in life, right? I like to evaluate and question and look at my calendar, look at opportunities, look at things from a different angle and see how we can improve life. So there you go. Tuesdays. So I also found out your wife, Raven, who was on the show 2 weeks ago, had 9 pages of notes. And I don't know if we got to even a half a page. Did you have any notes? Yeah.
I did the math. She had enough notes for 13 episodes. I want to see her back on the show. She's probably going to come over here and try to kill me for that. But
You did great. It was good.
I don't think you got the full effect. I want you to see your inner element there.
Well, that's the thing. And I know Raven, so yeah, I know her, and yeah, she it was her first one. We will have her back on the show because I want to talk more marketing with her. I loved her story though about the ice rink and getting late to the game, digital marketing, and also recognizing, hey, the land was more, the acreage was worth more than the business. Like, yeah, you got to cut your losses or grab your gains while you can. So no, I loved hearing that origin story. She told me a little bit more in depth about you and how it became Barten Brothers. So no, it was a great show. No, we got about 5 minutes here left. Are there any things that we did not cover here on the quarterly Barten update that need to be covered?
No, I think it's kind of cliche, but we're coming into that fourth quarter. Now is the time. If you want to be successful in 2025, you got to start spending your money now. And
yep.
I don't care how much money you have or don't have. Spend the money. It's the only way you're going to make money. Figure out how to pay the bill. Figure out how to push it off till you can pay the bill. That's the difference, I think, between entrepreneurship and management is having to manage that cash flow and figure out how to do it. And most of us I know are doing it with little or nothing. That's where I started. I think that's probably where you started, Andy. I've always been a hard worker. It's difficult to get paid what you're worth, though. And so if you want to have success, you got to go out and spend that money. You got to figure out how to make things happen. I'll share this post with you one time here, but I really like the idea of doing simple math, and we've talked about that before too. Don't do an extensive spreadsheet. You're going to talk yourself out of doing whatever good idea you have. Go out and do the good idea for the sake of doing a good idea, and if it really turns out to be a bad idea, then fuck it. Shit happens. Yep. Life moves on. You can recover from that mistake, and you go out and you try it again. You learn from it, but I think there's so much opportunity in the space, and I think there's so many guys that have a ton to offer people, and they're just hamstrung by their own fears, insecurities, and concerns about some sort of financial stability that probably doesn't exist and maybe never will. So that's my 2 minutes of 2 cents.
Well, what you said. So when you spend money in your business, you're spending on one of three things. It's either an asset, an investment, or an expense. So the difference between people like you and I and other people is we will spend money right now while we have it and invest it so it comes back with more friends. Come January, February, March, other guys will sit on it and then they'll just spend the money on the expense. Like, oh, I got to pay my guys to keep them busy. It's like, why don't you spend the marketing on right now so your phone rings in January, right? Why not buy the piece of equipment you need right now so you can save money on renting shit, or you can do more jobs in the next 3 months so then you have an asset and you have that revenue for those next 3 months. So I am all about investing into investments and assets. Otherwise, you're going to spend the money on expenses. You're spending the money either way, right? Also, is now the time. Get training. Train your guys. Come up with training plans so you can train them over the winter. Because the complaint always in the summer is, oh, we don't have enough time for training. And then in winter, it's like, oh, we don't have enough money for training. It's like, put the money aside, spend it, invest it, earmark it, do something with the money to take the time to train the guys now so they're ready for April, right? It's, we're both military, right? Like you come home from a deployment, first thing they do, you go back to the basics, go back to training. Like that's it. You go back to marching. It sounds as stupid as it is. It's like, well, you haven't marched in 2 years. Well, we're going to get back to marching. We're going to get back to PT. It's like, I just fought a war. It's like, great. Let's get back to the basics because the seasonality is no different than this industry, right? Like seasonally, yeah, your guys are probably beat up and broken this time. I remember when I worked construction, by October, November, we were shot. Our bodies were shot. And it's like, well, we spent the whole winter resting. Right now, before you guys rest, get them training. Keep those bodies lubricated. Keep them moving. Have them focus more on their mind and taking care of their body than physically making you money. So invest. So I agree with you there. Top takeaways. So we covered what you wanted to cover. Any top takeaways you got?
I mean, I would like just to expound on what you said there a little bit. The training, it doesn't have to be anything what's the word? Not exorbitant. Doesn't have to be anything that spectacular is my point. Put together a slideshow. You can talk to that guy, Kevin Hess. Kevin's the man. He's got a great class on rapport and customer service and satisfaction. But I'm telling you what, having been doing this as long as I've done it, you can always just have a class on what the price points are in your truck and how to go about addressing that with the customer and how to explain to the customer what the fee is going to be and how to not back yourself into a corner. It sounds redundant. It sounds extremely simple. And I guarantee if you take the half an hour to give that class, your guys or gals are going to walk away. Somebody's going to benefit from it. Maybe not
Yeah.
everybody, but somebody. And what happens to me is my guys usually walk out of the room feeling pretty good because there's an unintentional humor in there. When you find that one guy that needs the class and you start role playing with him a little bit, and it becomes a little bit embarrassing, everybody gets a good chuckle out of it. But listen, we're in the family. We want to be embarrassing now inside of our conference room, not out there in front of the customer. So I think it's really important, to your point, just, train.
Yeah. Ground guiding, getting out and looking, right? A 30-minute class is a lot cheaper than paying for a mailbox, if not more than a mailbox. Couple things of note: Recycling Summit, October 25th and 26th, coming up here in just a few weeks. Still got tickets available, free. That's it. Get to Milwaukee, learn about our warehousing operations, learn about the way we run our operations, how we unload our trucks, how we schedule our trucks, how we route our trucks, all things operations. Also a little bit of networking in there and a fish fry. We're going to go for fish fry on Friday. And Taylor shot me a text. I completely forgot about this. This guy, Ty sent me a message the other day, and I never even emailed him back or text him back. I need to. Hey, Andy, just wanted to reach out and say your podcast motivated me to quit my job and, in quotes, do the fucking thing. I'm 19 years old and I've been getting a decent amount of junk removal work here in mid-Michigan. And I also do carpentry on the side with my cousin. Thanks for the inspiration and knowledge. So Taylor has a running list of how many people have quit their jobs because of this podcast. Then we're up to 5 or 6. That's it. That is, when you ask me why I've done 127 episodes, is because of that. Because at 19 years old, had I found a podcast or inspiration or motivation or education, whatever the word is, maybe I would have jumped into my junk removal dream earlier in my career. And so now, instead of regretting what I didn't do, it's an opportunity for me to be the change I want to see in the world. So shout out for Ty out there in Saginaw, Michigan. I do owe him a response. You know what? Speaking of Taylor, let's get him on the podcast. And I want to talk to a 19-year-old, right? Mentor you have that's 10 years older than you, you need one that's 10 years younger than you. And so he's 20 years younger than me. So I can only imagine what he can share with me and teach me from his perspective. So thank you for that, loyal listener. Quit your job because of things you heard here from great guys like Andy Barten. Any last words, Mr. Barten, before we let you go?
No, excellent show. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Appreciate your time as always. Andy Barten will be back in early January. His wife might be back sooner. Sounds like we got 9 pages of notes, 13 episodes with Raven Barten coming up over the next couple of years. Looking forward to it. On behalf of Taylor, our producers, and Andy Barten, our guest, I'm Andy Weins, and this has been another great episode of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. We will see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Tap subscribe or follow to get the latest episode. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a review and tell a friend to listen. To learn more, visit trashtalkbusinesspodcast.com. Bye now.